I think Putin is driving Russia into a ditch. He is isolating Russia. He is doing great damage to Russia. This eventually will come out. But don't let things get out of hand here, where we get ourselves into a situation where it's a showdown. We don't need to do that. And it isn't a matter of waiting them out. I mean, you have to respond. We are. I think it's the right thing. I'd suggested it last year that we start stationing more of our equipment along that border, and the Defense Department is now going to suggest that for NATO, having more of our NATO allies be reassured. I started new exercises over there last year, more exercises than we had done since the middle of the Cold War, on our training, our battalions and their training with the Poles, with the Baltic countries, the things that we need to do to reassure and to make sure Putin understands where we are. Article 5 of NATO is pretty clear. There are 28 nations of NATO, and we all sign on to it. If one country is invaded, all 27 other countries in NATO will come to its rescue. I don't think Putin wants to cross that line, but he's doing some things that don't make a lot of sense. Eventually, this is going to get to a point, I think, where it's going to really cause tremendous damage. And you know the numbers today on the reserves down, the ruble's down, inflation's high, unemployment, capital flight, nobody's going in there to invest. The sanctions have had a pretty significant impact. But let me just mention one last point on that. I've talked about the interconnected world that we all know about, complicated. Well, if you start sanctioning across the board everything, then you start hitting American interests and allies' interests, and we already are. And by the way, most Europeans are paying a pretty high price for these sanctions. They're getting hit pretty hard by these, and they're staying with it. We're not getting hit that hard because our trade with Russia is nothing, and we are bountiful in energy. And I mean, the Western Hemisphere, you talk about a golden era for the Western Hemisphere. Oh, it's the 21st century. In any place else in the world like it.